Coming up on Mountain News at 6, how a lawsuit is revealing more details about Amber Spradlin's murder in Floyd County. And family members continue to hope a Southern Kentucky cold case will be solved 40 years later.
And a winter weather advisory is in place for a couple counties across eastern Kentucky.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Another round of snow is on the way, but how long will it stick around and how much will fall? Meteorologist Megan Dusmall has our first look at the weekend forecast.
Well, Steve, we have that winter weather advisory in place for a couple of counties across the region, mostly our far western counties and Harlan and Letcher County. Now, what this means is those folks could see locally higher amounts of snow up to 3 inches. And in terms of how long it's going to last, well, we'll see that from pretty much now all the way up until we head overnight Saturday and into your Sunday. However, the heavier chance for that wintry mix will be ending as we head into your Saturday morning. So let's track it out right now. Still looking at that rain for most folks, but as temperatures drop over the next couple hours as the system brings in the cooler air, we will start to see that wintry mix chance popping out. Already starting to see some of that wintry mix for portions of Rowan County. Now, temperatures right now are going to be in a mixture of the low to mid 40s, but as you do travel into some of our Virginia counties, already starting to see some of those colder temperatures, which will help snowfall accumulation heading into the overnight hours. So speaking of, temperatures overnight will drop down to those low 30s, and temperatures tomorrow will be in a mixture of the upper 30s and low 40s. Plenty of clouds. Steve.
Megan, thank you. A man accused of causing a crash that killed a young child is found guilty. Whitley County Commonwealth's Attorney Ronnie Bowling says a jury convicted Matthew Crowley last night of wanton murder, assault, and wanton endangerment. The crash on I-75 in January 2024 killed a 2-year-old child and left the mother with permanent injuries. Crowley will be sentenced next month. An Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex inmate is facing charges in the death of another inmate. 27-year-old Ryan Rayburn was found unresponsive in his cell back in September. Officers tried to save his life. A Morgan County grand jury returned an indictment on Jeremy Brooks, another inmate. He's charged with murder and being a persistent felony offender. Now, in a separate case, a man has been charged after another inmate was found dead at the same facility last year. 45-year-old DeLeon Rice, an inmate at the Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex, was indicted in September after the death of an inmate. Kentucky State Police say 34-year-old Robert Broyles was found unresponsive in his cell and was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Rice has been charged with murder and being a persistent felony offender. As attorneys prepare for the Amber Spradlin murder trial in March, Spradlin's family is still pushing for a civil lawsuit against those involved in moving the 911 center to the city of Prestonsburg. WYMT's Buddy Forbes explains how that lawsuit is revealing more details surrounding Spradlin's death.
Amber Spradlin was found dead in the home of Prestonsburg dentist and businessman Michael McKinney on June 18, 2023. Since then, her family has been seeking justice, and not only in the criminal case. Spradlin's aunt Melissa Sammons represents her estate in a civil case that claims officials with the city of Prestonsburg and Floyd County Fiscal Court should also be held responsible for her death, saying the changes that rerouted 911 calls from Kentucky State Police to the Prestonsburg 911 Center impacted Spradlin's ability to receive care when she was stabbed to death on Arkansas Creek Road, just outside of the city where 2 911 calls were made from the home. Attorneys for some of the accused officials have asked for a summary judgment in the case, claiming a trial is unnecessary. And a hearing was set for the case Wednesday, but that was postponed. Salmon's attorney, Del Golden, submitted a response this week, quoting depositions and other evidence that he claims is enough to warrant a trial. Part of the motion cited 2 former police officers, Josh Hinkle and Jonathan Pack, who claimed they were told the department would not respond to areas outside of what was drawn on their map, even if someone was, quote, being raped. And with a shortage of deputies at the Floyd County Sheriff's Office, Golden argues those involved were well aware that Floyd Countyans were not being protected. In his deposition, Pack said he was the supervisor when the 911 calls came in from the McKinney home, And after the first call came in claiming there was a belligerent drunk in the home, he advised the dispatcher that any further calls from the home would be handled by former police chief Randy Woods, because of the close relationship between Woods and the McKinneys. Reports claim hours later, Woods was involved in a phone conversation with McKinney 8 minutes before the second 911 call came from the house, reporting Spradlin's murder. The family argues the failure to have a proper system in place directly contributed to the lack of officers being sent out to the first call, which they believe could have saved Spradlin from what led up to the second. Police Chief Ross Shurtleff, who is not named in the lawsuit but was involved in the transition of services, says he believes it was the right move for community safety. And though he was unable to directly address claims made in the litigation, he said the city is committed to defending the lawsuit and the decisions made to transfer the services, saying Spradlin's death was a tragedy, but the center has strengthened emergency response. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Judge Executive Robbie Williams, who is named in the lawsuit, says he is unable to comment during ongoing litigation. A date for the next court hearing has not yet been set. A man is dead after a crash in Pulaski County. Deputies were called to a single vehicle crash just before noon off Highway 3264 in Science Hill. They believe the crash likely happened overnight. A man was found in a creek a short distance from a vehicle that went over an embankment. 32-year-old Casey Wilson of Science Hill was pronounced dead at the scene. The exact cause of death is not known, but deputies say foul play is not suspected. A nurse practitioner is arrested on drug trafficking charges. Middlesboro police say Angel Henderson of Corbin was served with a Bell County warrant. She's charged with engaging in organized crime and trafficking in a controlled substance. Police say Henderson used her prescription authority to unlawfully distribute pills. Police say more arrests are expected. A Southern Kentucky cold case 40 years after a teenager was killed. A Lincoln County mother is still seeking justice after her son was killed by a hit-and-run driver. It happened in November of 1985, not long after WYMT signed on the air. WYMT's Phil Pendleton spoke to Jeffrey McQueen's mother, who hopes that one day she will finally have the answers she's been looking for.
From his first birthday on.
A lifetime of memories.
But that was his last picture.
That only lasted 15 years.
I just don't know. I don't know how anybody could hit him and kept going.
Joanna Elliott says her son Jeffrey McQueen was walking home after hanging out with friends following a high school football game. Never made it to their Stanford house.
And what was his last memories that he had laying there?
Jeffrey was killed when police say a driver hit him and did not stop.
I couldn't believe that anybody would have done that. It was really hard to imagine somebody hitting him and just keep going.
The case has generated a lot of questions, speculation, even rumors on exactly what took place. It was even the subject of a special coroner's inquiry in the 1990s, but nothing has led to an arrest or any kind of conclusion to bring justice to the fact that a 15-year-old was tragically killed in this part of Lincoln County.
That coroner's inquest did rule it an accident, but investigators told Elliott it was still a homicide. She says she just wants to find out who did it.
If they did that so many years ago and was scared, I wouldn't hold it against them. I just want to know what happened.
Hoping to find answers to fill in that empty page in this book, and possibly in her heart as well.
How they could put me through this much misery. How could they just not come forward and told about it? How did they live with herself?
Ending that mystery would be peace to her and possibly to the suspect as well. In Lincoln County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Local police officer Rob Oney has devoted a recent podcast to the cold case. We have more information about that on WYMT's news app and WYMT.com. Senator Mitch McConnell says nearly $5 million is coming to Martin County. It will help modernize a wastewater treatment plant. Officials say the facility is in desperate need of maintenance. This is part of $540 million secured for Kentucky in a federal funding bill. The measure now goes to President Trump to be signed into law. Congressman Hal Rogers also says nearly $40 million is also included for various community projects. across eastern Kentucky. It includes $20 million for new communications equipment for first responders, $7.5 million for the Morehead State Space Science Center's Payload Operations Center, and $2 million for Operation Unite to continue substance abuse prevention and treatment projects. Congressman Rogers says the bill also includes $135 million for the Abandoned Minelands Economic Revitalization Program, $200 million for the Appalachian Regional Commission, and protects $610 million for a new federal prison in Letcher County, which is expected to create more than 300 new jobs. In a region that is often defined by struggles, new data shows that progress is being made within several areas of child well-being in eastern Kentucky, but there are also some alarming statistics. WYMT's McKinley Calandrino spoke to officials with Kentucky Advocates for Kids.
According to data collected from Kentucky Advocates for Kids, Perry County is seeing progress in several areas of child well-being. Executive Director Terry Brooks says based on the Kids Count report card, both Hazard Independent and Perry County school districts show improvements in 4th grade reading and 8th grade math, along with other key indicators.
Perry County kids improved in 16 of those 20 indicators during the last period of time. That's really good news. They declined in 3 and they stayed the same in 1. So it's important to celebrate the improvement.
While the improvement is encouraging, economic well-being continues to be a pressure point for eastern Kentucky families.
When I look at the data, though, what jumps out is that whereas about 20% of kids live in poverty, 37% of kids in Perry County live in poverty. The idea that it's almost twice the state rate, that's a problem.
Brooks says that childhood poverty impacts every aspect of a child's life, including education, health, and family stability, and could potentially lead to declines in other areas.
If childhood poverty is intensifying, then we know what's coming. We know that health indicators, education indicators, marks around family stability, we know that they're going to decline in the coming years.
Brooks says turning those numbers around is possible, and it starts with policy.
So if I was living in Perry County or more broadly eastern Kentucky, I'd be reaching out to my state representative and my state senator and saying, hey, you know the most persistent and pernicious issue that our kids face is poverty. Are you going to do something about it?
In Perry County, McKinley Calandrino, WYMT Mountain News.
To see a full list of the statistics, just find this story on our website at WYMT.com or our news app.
Temperatures are dropping as we're heading into the weekend.
And he says it's one thing that makes our state special. We'll talk to a geologist studying natural arches in Kentucky.